Fighters Only World MMA Awards. What brings you out? Is this your first time here?
This isn't my first time. I used to fight in the UFC, and it's been a while. And the last time I was here about 10 years ago when I was still employed with the UFC. But this year I'm here as a presenter, and we'll see how that goes.
Despite your very successful pro wrestling career, how often are you asked about your UFC tenure?
I get asked about the UFC quite a bit, just because it was such a, the beginning, the start of kind of my TV stardom with the Ultimate Fighter, then the career in the UFC, and then, getting fired for, X, Y, and Z and what have you, so yeah, it's just a full circle kind of thing, and I always get asked about it though.
And I know a lot of people look at that tenure you had with the UFC, the way that it ended and how you were able to kind of take a left turn and go in a arguably even more successful direction. So when you view that yourself and reflect on that and all the things Dana White's said about you when you parted ways, I mean, how good does that make you feel about your decision-making abilities?
It feels really good, but on top of it, I kind of got to thank Dana for that, because if he would have just fired me and not said anything, nobody would have probably knew about me. But putting me on blast and doing that, I think a lot of people could relate with me. They probably had their parents or their boss talk to them like that. And I think that's kind of where, that bro character kind of started. And then making my way through pro wrestling wasn't easy too, especially with the, stigma of being that guy that got fired, so, but I think, every good journey needs a good story, and you need ups and downs, just like a good pro wrestling match.
And we see, despite them being so different, MMA and pro wrestling still have some crossovers. We see some people jump. Has there ever been any thoughts in your mind, any opportunities, like maybe I'd be able to do one of these again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll say this. There's been a lot of talk. I've been talking to a couple of promotions. I don't want to get into it until it's official. But I think 2024 is a very big possibility that I get back in the ring or cage and fight again pretty soon. So,
and I guess kind of what's the motivation there? Is it just, good business opportunities? Do you feel like there's still a story in Matt Riddle in MMA that hasn't had its final chapter written?
Yeah, I feel like, and maybe this is a bad theory or a bad idea, I feel like you got to get beat up to leave, and I feel like I left the UFC on a 4-fight win streak, then won another fight in Titan FC, and kind of just left and went to pro wrestling, did good, still doing it. Pro wrestling's awesome, but still want to get beat up, I want to have my exit, but we'll see, maybe somebody beats me up, maybe I keep winning, who knows,
And how much, obviously what you do is you got to be tremendously athletic, and I'm sure you're training every day, but how much MMA training have you done since you left, if any?
I train probably a couple times a week. Not so much. I'm not getting into those firefights, hard sparring, going for knockouts or anything. But at the same time, I do a lot of mitt work. I do jiu-jitsu at least a couple times a week. Just got my black belt this year. I mean, probably should have got it a while ago, but pro wrestling, it's hard to put that time into the jiu-jitsu gym. But I'm focusing a lot on that. So, because I've had that itch. So we'll see.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, let me ask you something. People thought that they would never see the day that CM Punk would be back in WWE. Is there a time we could see you back with the UFC?
I mean, I say never if the opportunity's right. I don't really hold a grudge, and I talk a lot of shit. Sorry, but I talk a lot of trash, but that's about it, So if there's business to be had, I'll get business done.
What is it about the fences being able to be mended in these businesses?
Well, for me, I mean, there's no fence that really needs mending. He had his decision, I had mine. He went his way, I went my way, and I had great success, and so has he. So for me, there's no problem. It's just a matter of you'd want me to work for him if he'd want to pay me again. And he doesn't have to,
And if I could just ask you, how shocked were you that CM Punk mended fences with WWE in his back?
I'm not surprised, because WWE, the one thing they like money, and CM Punk is money, just like he was money in mixed martial arts. So you can't argue a man that's money. But yeah, then that's just like the UFC. I know if I fight, I'll sell tickets. So just if they want it.
And you did say 2024 could be the year where we see you in the ring or the cage. If you had to say which one was more likely to happen first or happen?
More likely, probably a ring. I would like to get back in the cage, though, but we'll see what happens.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you,
And
man.
I'll be at that Jake Paul fight tomorrow. So
Oh,
we'll
okay.
see what happens there.
Okay, interesting. We may see you pop up in some way.
Some way, somehow. You'll see me.
Maybe that's the ring you're talking about.
Possibly, you know. Maybe it's the brass ring and we're reaching for it. I don't know.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.